It's Monday. It's supposed to be a week on Monday. Okay, we're going to call the work session into order, please, or into session. And we will start going down the committees and go from there, and we'll start with Planning and Development Committee. Linda Dodd.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report tonight, so I have no actionable items.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Linda. We'll move down to Finance, Human Resources. Ann Hunsinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As presented earlier, we won't put it on consent, but we'll need to have a vote to adopt the budget that Danny presents both tonight and Thursday night. Although I do need to let you know that we are going to adopt to approve the budget, hopefully, and then we'll have to amend it for a utility relocation probably in the next couple of weeks. But for now, we're going to adopt it as is. If anybody has any questions, obviously, but that we'll vote on it Thursday night. Does anybody have any questions about that? Nope. Okay, then that's all I have. Thank you.
What about the appropriations ordinance? Is that the same thing? Okay. Okay, thank you, Ann. Okay, we'll move to Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mayor.
Long.
I'm
sorry, Jay Boland.
That's okay.
I looked at Melanie.
That's all right. So anyways, last week, Public Safety had a committee meeting to discuss a couple different options. One, ever since former Mayor Martinez gave me the Public Safety Committee, I've always been proactive with police and fire. I'm always going to do my best to get them what they need. You know, there's no denying that. It's okay. I remember when I got my first phone. I get it. That should be like, we should start a new rule, $10 fine every time it goes to the Special Olympics. So Linda's in for 10. All right, you just got my whole train of thought. Okay, so Mayor Martinez, proactive, public safety. Okay, good. So the city of Loganville is busting at the seams. It's only going to get worse, just like the traffic. So we have to stay ahead of things. So I've been talking with Dick Lowry for like a long time about a lot of stuff. And I'm going to call Greg Warnack up here, Assistant Chief Warnack, to help me out with this. Here's where we're at. So we had the committee meeting, Melanie Long, Bill Duvall, and myself. And anytime you get an opportunity to have Chief Johnson and Chief Lowry in a room and get to hear what's going on in police and fire, it's a good opportunity. So Chief Johnson's good with men. He's going to get a fire truck eventually. The good news is he's going to get it probably. The bad news is it'll be like 14 months before he gets it. Right, Danny? Good?
Once the council approves it.
Yeah, we're going to give him. He'll get the fire truck. They need it. Trust me, they need it. It's like held together with duct tape now. So then, moving on to police, here's where we're at with police. They're short officers like most of the country is, because being a police officer isn't what it used to be. To me it is, but to a lot of people it's not. So you can't throw money at the problem, kinda, right, Greg? You kinda can, but you kinda can't. Yeah. And my point is, Lawrenceville has 5 openings, they pay 50 grand, and they can't fill the position. The city of Atlanta lost 1,000 officers, replaced them with 750, but the 750 they lost, or the 1,000 they lost, were experienced officers, replaced by probably a lot younger, inexperienced police officers. But that's their problem. So where we're at here is, as Danny said earlier, the big selling point is retirement. But to talk to a 25 or 30-year-old kid about retirement, you're not going to get very far, because that's just for old people. That's how we look at it, right? Oh, that's for old people, until the day is when we're going to retire. So the retirement's great if you can get the right person in here who understands the benefits that we offer. We have a great leadership over there with Chief Lowry, Assistant Chief Warnack. We got a great group of guys and gals over there. So what we're at now is Chief Lowry wants to do a police recruiting proposal. And I think initially when Ann Hunsinger and I saw this, we were kind of like, I'm not sure about this. But when you hear Chief Lowry, now tonight, Greg Warnack, talk about it, I think you'll see it's a good idea that I'd like to put on the agenda, up for vote Thursday night. Keep in mind, this isn't about stealing officers from Gwinnett or Walton County. That's not it at all. This is just an opportunity to, almost like a one-off opportunity to contact people that, for example, Greg's been doing this a long time. He knows a lot of people. He may know somebody who knows somebody who's in a different department, in a different city, who's not having the best time. You get a hold of him, you sit down with him, and you explain the benefits of Loganville, and maybe he comes over. This proposal will give Chief Lowry the opportunity to do that. You want to fill in the blanks?
Yeah, I just, in short, I'm not gonna go over everything that Councilman Bowling went to. It's on, I'm just too tall. So, we've talked about this in depth. I know most of y'all were at the committee meeting last week, and without going into a whole lot of detail, I want to clarify one thing that you just talked about stealing officers, or, you know, I know that there's been some talk about the integrity of somebody if they leave somewhere, and understand that this proposal would mainly deal with folks that work in the jail that have been promised things from the agency they work for, that if they get certified, then they would go out to the road to work, which is what they want. And then a lot of the places, the agencies they work for are not fulfilling those promises. So I don't want anybody to get the misunderstanding that, you know, somebody would leave somewhere else to come here just to come out on the road and get out of the jail. I think some of that has to fall on the agency that's promising these young folks that once they get them through the academy that they're going to be free to go and go out and work the road and be a patrol officer. That's not necessarily the case. That being said, the jail is short. Most jails are short as well. But this would be a tool for us to be able to not necessarily recruit, but an option if somebody called us and or we got a hold of somebody that was a good person that was under contract. The vetting process for this would be intense. We're not going to go out here and waste time to try to recruit somebody for lack of better words, or get somebody that we haven't vetted and spoke with other folks and verify that they're worth spending this money on to come here. That being said, there's no guarantees. There's absolutely no way we can hold them to come here or to stay here. I'm the firm believer, and of course this is me because I work here, but if they talk to the guys that work here, the folks that work here, the men and women, I think once they talk to them, they'll see that it's a pretty good place to be, and they probably won't leave. We've had folks that we've hired here, and a lot of the folks that we've got here, y'all, are based off of other officers that work here's recommendations. Their recommendations to me means more than anybody that just comes down here and talks to me out in the lobby. If we got an officer who works here and they say, look, I put my name on this person right here, I think we should give them a shot. That goes a long way with me and the chief. Because I'm leery about putting my name on somebody. So if I say, hey, look, this is a good person, I've been friends with them for a long time. I know a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know. Getting back to the money side of it, it is a lot of money. And I know that the chief spoke in the committee meeting about the breakdown, but all in all, for us to put somebody through the academy with the benefits and all the equipment, and honestly, I think the equipment part's a little bit low, but that's because I deal with the equipment side of it. But you're looking at almost $26,000 to put somebody through the academy, get them through the academy. Once we get them through the academy, if they pass the academy and they finish the FTO or the field training program, we're not guaranteed to keep them then. They can quit even though they're under the 2-year contract that we make them sign. If they quit and go somewhere outside of law enforcement, they can go. There's nothing, they don't have to pay nothing back. The only difference is if they go to another agency, they would be in the same boat as us, where the agency would have to pay back the difference. So I don't want everybody to think that this is something we're going to be looking to do daily, every day or every year. I think this is just another process that would give us another tool to look at somebody who may be under contract. And there is no guarantees, I understand that. I want everybody to understand the part about some of that integrity part has to go on the agency that they're working for. They're being promised stuff that's not, that they have no control over that. I've got one applicant now that is under contract. He went to the academy with one of our new recruits, and our new recruit has spoke highly of him, but he is under contract. And I've talked to him on the phone, nice young kid. Sorry, bud, there's nothing much we can do. With this opportunity, it gives us the opportunity to talk to this gentleman, go in and vet him, talk to some other folks. Where he works, I know some folks up there that I can talk to them off the record and get kind of some insight on this guy. And that's what we're relying on. Before we would come back and ask Mr. Roberts to do this, we've got to clarify for us to make sure he's a fit for our family, first of all, a good fit for this community, and then also that he's worth spending the money on. Anything else you got?
No,
I'll be glad
I'm
to
good.
go anywhere.
We have any
else.
questions among the council?
So would the buyout be a prorated fee, or are we buying out the entire
Yes, ma'am.
25,000, whatever it is?
Well, no, it would be a prorated fee. The way the post rule is, or the law is, anything under 15 months it's a certain amount of whatever the agency that they would be leaving for their salary. It's an average of their salary, equipment, benefits, so on and so forth. If it's after 15 months, then it's half. That's the way the law reads, that we would have to pay back. I think Chief Lowry put in here, it wouldn't exceed
24,000.
24,000,
So,
which is still cheaper, I'm sorry,
gonna go ahead.
which is still cheaper than
Right.
when we put somebody through the academy. And I'm not opposed to putting somebody through the academy. We love that because then we train them how we want them. But in this event too, it'd be the same. We're still getting them here to train them how we
Right.
want them.
I mean, I'm all for whatever we got to do to get officers. We're down 3 officers, I believe it is. I'm just really torn on this method. You know, 2 years isn't a lot to ask. You know, you put me through the academy. It's really not a lot to ask for that agency to expect that, and they're getting experience in the meantime.
Right.
I don't know, I'm just having a hard time that we're gonna be doing that when I actually think maybe I'm not opposed to giving officers more money to come here to work. And,
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that more money, I don't mean to interrupt you, Ms. Long. More money's great, but the more money's not working. There's an agency in south of Atlanta right now, they're offering $10,000 sign-on bonus if you'll come to work there, and they're still 5 or 6 short. It's just, this market nowadays is prime if you want to shop for a job and be a cop. I lost a female to Lawrenceville because she could make $6,000 more a year. Now, that being said, when
If
I
you
got
had the
into
ability
when
to
I
have
got
given
into her
her-
background, it probably was better for us not to hire her anyway because we're not into hiring warm bodies here. But it's a shop. They can shop anywhere they want to go. I mean, if somebody's offering $10,000 and they're still 5 officers short, that's a problem.
but that
And we
says a
can't
lot
compete with
about the agency itself. That's what I'm saying, if we could step up to the plate and, you know, I mean, I'm not opposed to this idea. I just worry that they're jumping ship and then there's no loyalty here and then we're out $24,000. And not only that, is we could be causing, you know, hard feelings with other agencies because there's just not a police, you know, there's like a pool of 100 officers and everybody's trying to pull out of that same pool. What's to say they get here and somebody comes along and says, we're gonna give you a $10,000 sign-on bonus?
That is a possibility, you're
No, I'm
correct.
just-
I really rely back on how it is here, and once they get here and work with these folks here and see how it is working in this community, that turns a lot of people's minds to not want to leave.
Because we do love our police officers in
Yeah,
Lincolnville, and I
and
think y'all feel that.
Yes, we do, and so does the community, everybody as a whole. And I think once you see that and see that you know, you can make that kind of money working somewhere else, but what kind of quality of life do you want? Here, you can have a quality of life and still go home and enjoy your time with your family, or you can get paid a whole lot of money to go home and sip on a bottle. That's, I mean, to be blunt, that's what a lot of guys do when they work for Atlanta or DeKalb or something like that. So I think we give the benefit of the doubt to our officers that are here, that once they're with them, that I don't think anybody that has any sense, that wants to do this job and have a good career at it, I don't think they would leave.
And when you were talking about, they'll be fully vetted, I mean, you'll be doing their background, you know,
Oh.
because you were talking about the lady a while ago that you realized that she wouldn't have been a good fit.
But
Are we
once I
gonna
got
get a
it-
little bit more deeper into
Yes.
vetting these guys that we're fixing to spend this kind of money on?
If we get to this point, yes. It would be, between me and Chief Lauer, we know a lot of folks at different agencies around here, probably agencies that we would be looking at getting somebody if we had somebody there. We have people that we could call that would be off the record, so it wouldn't affect their job immediately, but we could call them and ask them, point blank, tell me about this guy.
And now, are these people, are they, so they're under, excuse me, under a 2-year contract, are they not fresh out of academy as well?
The people that we'd be looking at,
Mm-hmm.
they can be anywhere within that 2 years. So,
But
they
I'm
can-
saying they're
Yes.
2 years into law enforcement. They're not
Yeah.
seasoned, experienced. Okay.
yeah, they're 2 years in, so it would be a full field training here. It would be like getting somebody fresh out of the academy. Again, majority of this would be people that are currently in the jail and can't get out.
Yeah, so let me just add, because I know Chief and I had many, many conversations on this, and I too is concerned about, my biggest concern was the work relationship we would do with other agencies, and then the integrity of, someone said they're going to do 2 years and they don't. But after speaking with the chiefs, is the way it works, just like in the fire department, if someone is going to go somewhere, typically I would pick up the phone call the chief and say, hey, just want to let you know this person's coming to work for me. You want to hear it from me first. That's a professional courtesy that we do, and it's a professional courtesy they do for us. I mean, we do lose people to other agencies. Not very often, but it does happen. So he has put my concerns at ease with that. The 2-year thing was, we're not looking at going to find a police officer in another police department. So what this is there's a greater shortage for jailers than there are law enforcement officers that we call on the road. That's the people with the patrol. Those jailers go out post-certified, and they're told that once you get post-certified, you can go to the road and work. But since they cannot find anyone to work at the jail, they stay in the jail after they're post-certified. Because you do not have to be post-certified to work in a jail. There is another
It's a jailer's course.
jailer's
80-hour jailer.
course they do. But when they're first hired, the way it works is they say, hey, you got to do X amount of time in rotation in the jail. Once that happens, if you pass post, then we'll put you on the rotation. Well, that's not what they're fulfilling, because they need jailers more than they need patrol officers. That is the candidate that they are looking for. It's not, and I can tell you that the chief's integrity, to me, is they're not going to go out and, hey, they just keep this in their back pocket. So if it does happen, they know that they can do it. Now, if you all approve this Thursday night, what you're doing is giving me the authority to spend up to $24,000 for the 2 open positions that we have, if that's what you desire. Be $48,000. Now, that's a lot of money, but we could hire someone that no experience, send them to the academy, pay all that money, and they don't pass post. We're still at that money, and we cannot recover that money from anyone else. Has it happened? Yeah. We have had people that couldn't pass. We lost a firefighter last week. Couldn't pass his EMT. That's a job requirement. But we have paid for school. We have paid for, Christy, how long has that employee been here? A year? We have paid this all this time. Guess what? He's going to highways and streets now because he can't pass. But there's no guarantee that they won't leave. There's no guarantee that they'll pass post if we hire them. But the good thing with this, they've already passed. So it's, if you look at it that way, it's more of a secure, because you know they've already passed, but they are up to leave. And trust me, it's a game out there right now with, and Christy can tell you better than anyone. We struggle keeping people here because we'll raise it, then they turn around and raise it more. We can't keep throwing money at it. Just, that's not the answer.
So a few of the takeaways that I got from the chief was, one, that vetting process that he does. I mean, he's very thorough. But also, it's not his desire to go out there and hire. I mean, if you can hire somebody with experience, you're going to do that first.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, these people that may come across our table where we have the opportunity is they may have already worked for a while before they even went to academy and through certification. So just saying that we're paying that for that potential 24 months, that's the 24 months after they have received their certification.
That's correct.
So sometimes some of the counties they'll hold them in the jail for a year or so before they send them to academy.
That is correct.
And you know, the thing to keep in mind, and Chief Lowry and I have talked for hours about this, we're open for other suggestions, but there isn't any. There's no other, I mean, maybe there is, right? I mean, I'm for raising taxes if it's going to public safety. I don't think we're there yet, because throwing money is not gonna fix the problem.
I'll tell y'all, we've got 3 applications right now. I've got two 20-year-old young men. They're gun-ho, but they're young and they're fresh and they're not certified. I've got the young man that's with another agency that's in the jail that I'm just kind of putting him back. And I mean, if this was to pass, obviously I would talk with him and go and do some more vetting with him. And we've got a young lady that was a Marine and a military police, and post actually changed a rule. Me and Mr. Robertson, the chief, were talking about it this afternoon, to where if you are a certified military police, that you can come here, you can come to Georgia and get your post certification just like you would if you were out of state coming here. It's just, you just take like 5 classes and you qualify with your firearms and you will be a post certified officer. And this young lady, where she's working now, they pretty much told her, you can't come to the road, you can go work in the jail. So she's actually working as an evidence clerk for a local agency with the officer that runs the evidence room. So for something like that, that would be a steal for us, because we don't have to pay to put her through the academy. We get her here, if she passes everything, we get her, put her on the road. That's what we're looking for. I would love to have certified officers, because it's less time that we've got to put them out here training. It's quicker, they're out here serving the community. That's idea, but it's just not the case anymore.
And she's a woman, so it's like a unicorn for us, because we need them. I mean, no kidding, we need
That's a
female
prize.
officers to make
Yes.
female stops, because we have one.
We've got
two.
two.
I'm sorry, two.
Yes.
And they're on opposite shifts, but we have 4 shifts. So, if you know anyone, please apply. If you're listening, please apply. We'd love to have you.
Get on YouTube. If you want a job, come to Loganville. Did you get that? Okay.
Do
But they're
we
not
pay-
lying. That is the problem right now. We're not getting applications for anything. So all these tools will be wonderful if we can just get the people to apply.
Yeah, and like I said before, I harp on this, but if we get them here, let them see how things are run here and how the people love the officers, how the community is, how the officers work together. I'm telling y'all, that makes a big deal with folks, especially if you're stressed out from this job. I'm not saying that bad stuff doesn't happen, and the potential for these guys to get into it could happen tonight. And I'll get that call, and I'm getting up out of the bed, and I'm coming up here too. That's part of this job. But you can still have a good career here and have a decent home life to where you're not miserable when you get off. And that is what we pride ourselves on here, is that family atmosphere. And for y'all, we know we hired to replace Chris Valente. And the DEA officer that we hired, he started with me today. And we went to the firing range this morning and we were chit-chatting, and I was telling him, I was like, I think you're really gonna love it here. He is very family-oriented. His wife brought him to work this morning, and she come over and sat and talked to us. And when I was telling that about how we do the dinners and how the city does the dinners and everybody comes with their kids, man, he lit up like a Christmas tree. He didn't know none of that. Then I started giving him his equipment, and he was like, how much are you gonna give me? I'm like, man, we give you everything that you're gonna need. Oh, I wasn't expecting all this. So not right now, he's already got it in his mind. He's like, oh man, I should have made this move several years ago. But that's the kind of atmosphere we want for any of these new recruits that are coming here as well. And that's what we're gonna provide. This is just another tool to try to get them here, because I think if we get them here, they'll stay here.
Do we pay to send people to post individually, like?
For the academy, if they're sponsored by us, we don't have to pay for the academy. We have to pay them their salary and equipment to go.
Right, so it's not like,
It's not like a fee to go to the academy. Is that what you're
Correct.
asking? No. The only time they have to pay a fee is if they sponsor themselves.
right, but to say that we're paying the 24 grand and we'd have to pay that anyway is not exactly right, because we don't pay for the academy portion. We pay their salary, but we don't pay a fee for the academy class.
No agency does.
No,
Right, you're correct.
Yeah.
That 20, when I say we paying for it, we're paying it through salaries, benefits.
Yes.
And equipment.
Right.
And fuel. We
Right.
do, because they do travel back and forth.
And the people that are currently being promised, like the jailers, that are being promised right now that we're allowed to go on the road, they're not being promoted because there's nobody to backfill the position, correct?
Yes, in the jail.
Right,
There's nobody to work in the jail, so they want to keep the people in the jail.
right,
I have no problem with that.
Right.
But don't promise them they can come out and do this just to get them certified
Right.
and then keep them where they're at.
Right.
That's the issue I think everybody has.
And another thing that the chief said, and I'll have Assistant Chief talk about, is about the Constitution. It says they have to provide a jail, but they do not have to provide patrol. You want
That's
to
correct.
talk about
The
that?
sheriff's office does not have to provide patrol. They are mandated by the Constitution to provide the jail. But if you'll notice, like a lot of big jails, DeKalb, Clark County, DeKalb, Fulton County, a lot of those, even though Fulton County has a police, a lot of those agencies, the sheriff's office, all they do is courts and the jail. They don't really do patrol.
Right.
They have their own county police, or like Gwinnett and all them. So actually, they're not mandated to have patrol. Now, Walton County is a fully functional agency. They're full, they do everything. But they're only mandated to provide the jail, so they have to keep people in the jail. I get that. Just don't promise them something that you're not gonna fulfill. I think that sends the wrong message to them.
I agree. I don't support this. I probably am the only one, but only because of the principle of the contract. But I understand the need. I get it. I mean, my son's in law enforcement, but we're at 3%, and I just don't like the look. I don't like the look that you can say, I'm sorry you don't like it where you are. We're gonna let you out of your contract and buy it out, and you can come here.
Yeah, well, in that understand, I know they talked about it. It would not be done without mutual talking between the department heads. You understand what I'm saying? They're gonna talk. It's not gonna be done blind, slap you in the face, we're taking this person. We would never do that.
Right.
First of all, if it was Walton County, we have too good of a relationship with the administration down there.
Right.
We've all worked together for 30 years.
Right.
We're not gonna just strip somebody out from under them like that. That's not the right thing to do. The chief or myself would never do that.
And so what if the powers that be at the sheriff's office says, don't take them?
We'd have to consider that. I really do.
But does it consider mean that we would or we wouldn't? I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I
No,
mean,
I think it would depend on how good this person is and how it come out with the vetting. Are they worth taking that risk of them being mad at us, for lack of
Right.
better words, and spending this money? Is it worth it?
well, and is it worth stealing somebody, and I know is it worth taking somebody that has 6 months left on their contract for them to learn the lesson that if you sign a contract, you have to stick with it?
That's a good point.
I mean, I'm really, I mean,
So
I'm
you're more the ethics part of
super,
it all.
mine is the ethics. I'm really torn.
And I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
where
I-
the problem with this. 2 years just isn't a lot to ask of somebody to stay somewhere, and I'm with Ann on this. This is where I'm having the problem, because of my own personal beliefs, that if I sign a contract with you, that's integrity.
I agree.
Does it, does legally, hey, Robin, sorry. Do we get into any legal issue if we have this in our toolbox and we decide to use it for somebody we want and we choose not to use it for somebody else? Does that get us in any issue legally, discriminatory type stuff?
I think what you're talking about is an equal protection issue, where you would be required to treat two people who are similarly situated exactly the same. And I think that if Greg and the chief decided, we want this person but not this person, y'all would be able to articulate why they don't want person B. And that would be important for an equal protection analysis, because then they're not similarly situated. You could argue person B is not qualified for the job for whatever reason, they decide not to hire that person. No,
But
I
if
don't.
A and B aren't together, like if they hire somebody and then we still have one of these contracts left, and we get another applicant 3 months later, we have one applicant, they're under contract, and we decide not to do it.
You decide to hire that person but not buy out the contract? I mean, I think as long as you could articulate a reason why you decided not to do it in that situation. I appreciate what you're saying, and it's a valid concern. I think that you have to be clear that it's discretionary how you use this, and you could define the situations that you would want to use it. Like in in your example, maybe there's a reason why the first person that they hire and they needed to buy out of the contract, maybe that person has specialized skills or is a particularly valuable catch, for lack of a better word, for the department, whereas the next person maybe is not so far along, not quite so attractive, but hey, we need someone to come in, and so we'll hire that person, but not offer to buy out their
But I
contract.
think this is, I mean, it's already a requirement in the rules or the law. It's already there that says you are to buy them out, reimburse them.
If they leave and the hiring agency
Right,
is
so all
responsible
we're
for
doing
paying
is giving
that.
them authority to use that as a tool. So it's, the hiring process is two different things. You pick the best person, and then if they are in that 2-year period, then we have to just pay for it, right?
Yes, and I mean, that's the way you could word it, certainly. I mean, I was just looking at this, I see it's a proposal. Is there any thought to how you'd codify it?
I don't know that we've gotten that far with it.
I mean, to your point, Ann, and then what Bill said makes a lot of sense too. I mean, if you maybe create a stated policy that says, you know, under the state of Georgia, under the law in the state of Georgia, we're required to reimburse, blah, 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 blah. You have the option of twice a year, I think you said twice a budgetary period, of fulfilling that obligation under Georgia law. It may be a way to do it. It doesn't fully get away from what you're talking about, Ann. But I guess what Bill's saying is you could characterize it as first you make the decision to hire, kind of what you've been talking about, like the fact that you would have to buy out an officer's training contract, for lack of a better term, would not be an obstacle to hiring, right? I mean, maybe that's the best way to look at it and to word it.
Well, I guess my other question is to what Christie said about, you know, money doesn't help us at this point because it's not getting people here. Now, all of a sudden, we've said we've got a $50,000 pool a year that we can use. What happens to the next person that is post-certified, not under contract, that says, well, I'll come work for you, but give me a $5,000 hiring bonus? Because we've already said we're willing to pay 50 grand to get 2 people. It seems like we're going down the road of hiring bonuses, which creates, and I don't think there's an answer to what I'm saying. These are some of my concerns that I wanted to share.
Well, I don't think this would necessarily, I mean, I think you could distinguish it from a hiring bonus. It's not going to be cash in the person's pocket, so to
That's right.
speak.
That's right.
Agreed. But if an officer goes to Greg and says, Assistant Chief Warnock, sorry, and says something like, hey, I know you guys do buyouts for contracts, and I'm not under contract, but I'd love to come work for you for 5 grand, and your council approved 50 for contracts, can you swing 5 grand to me?
And Greg says no.
I really don't want to answer that because I can't say what I would say. That's not the kind of person I would even think about hiring.
Then
If you're
why
gonna
would we
come in-
wanna-
if-
Well-
And the reason I say that is, don't come and proposition me to give you more money, or give you a $5,000 bonus to come in. That wouldn't settle well with me,
But how is that different than somebody saying, just get me out of my contract and
because
I'll come work
we're
for you?
not paying them
Because
cash.
this is it's not a bonus, it's a state law. Says if that person has signed a contract with the agency, by law, we are obligated.
Right.
You can't say, this is just a mechanism that if that person is so picked through the hiring process, he is or she is the #1 candidate. But I got this cloud because I got this person in contract. It gives the chief the authority to buy that contract out if the applicant is the best fit.
Right.
But it's not going to be a tool used to grade an applicant. It's
I
just
know
going to be a
that.
tool
Yeah,
for
I
the
g-
chief. So if somebody was to come, because it would have to go through me and say, I will come here if you give me 5,000, I'll say thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
Because if we did that, then all 30 other officers
I
would be
agree.
like, you do for one, you do for all.
I
And,
completely
That's
agree.
why this is not, I don't look at this as a contract, I looked at this as a tool to fill our department 100%, which also helps the men and women currently to fill that position. We're doing everything we can to get you help.
So this isn't gonna be like a mass hiring process. This is just, we might use this once in the next 5 years, but.
We may
at
never
least-
use it.
may
We have
never
3
use it.
applicants right now.
Right.
One is not under contract, one is.
listen,
I'm not opposed to sending people to the academy. I love that. The last 3 that we've sent, y'all, Logan Hendricks that was here the last meeting, I think, was great. He is doing great. And it's exciting to see him go through the academy and the knowledge that when it enters him and he gets to come out here and apply it, and then through his field training now, I love that portion of it. I'm a fan of the training. I love the training portion of it. I love the training part of this job. And I think that he's an exception of how well he's doing in the way he approached the academy. So I am a fan of this, and I don't want to do this right here unless it was let me put it this, unless it was a candidate that was so far above what we could get, or couldn't wait for them. That's where I think we're at with this. I think it would have to be that kind of candidate after we've vetted them, and they've got such rave reviews from their supervisors and whoever else we've talked to up there. That's when I think this would come into play and say, hey, can we use this right now for this person because they're standing out above anybody else that we could get to put through the academy or that we could hire that's already certified. That's where I see this proposal as.
How much contract do some of these jailers that you're looking at, how much do they have left?
For the one that I have right now that I currently have application for, well, he went to the academy with Andrew Henry, so probably a year or a little less.
Okay.
You know, it's also, for the council, mayor, you know, everybody in the room, we have to continue to be proactive because if this passes, great. If it doesn't, okay, we still have to plan for the future and stay ahead of it because you don't want to play catch up and you know, I don't think just throwing money at it's going to be the solution, but we're running out of options. I mean, again, if we got to raise taxes, we're not there yet, but we're going to have to do something.
My thought is, we've got a new police chief who we think is exceptional. We've got a new assistant police chief who we think is exceptional. And those 2 men have told us that will give them an advantage to solve a problem that we currently have that they do not have today. So I would rest on their shoulders. They live this thing. They know how hard it is to find people.
That's really well said, Skip. It was really well said.
And isn't it the flip side of sending someone to post, right? I mean, you're buying someone's training contract that another jurisdiction has paid, or you're hiring someone with no experience and is not certified, and you're going to pay to send them to post. So it's the same cost, just on the front end or the back end.
That's correct. So just a breakdown of what it would normally send for us to send somebody to the academy is almost $26,000. That's salary, benefits, vehicle equipment to go and finish 12 weeks at the academy.
Or you get someone that's already certified, you pay
If we get somebody
retroactively for that certification, and
Well, I'd
they're
love to have
immediately
somebody that's already
ready to
certified.
serve.
Yeah, if we get somebody that's already certified, it's just a matter of getting them equipment, do the training out on the road, and they're out in the community.
If they were to utilize this policy, it's gonna put that even though they are a newer officer, it's gonna put them on the road even quicker than if we put them to the academy.
That's correct. They would be able to come here, and do the 12 weeks. That's what we require for anybody that's less than 2 years' experience. We require the 12-week field training. So we would get them here in 12 weeks instead of 24 weeks is what Logan and the other 2 had to do, was 12 weeks of the academy, 12 weeks of field training. You're 6 months in before we get to utilize them. And again, I have no problem with that. I'm also thinking about these other 18 folks out here that are working their tail off and need help.
And also, that's if you can get them in the academy. That's the other issue you need to talk about.
Yes. So the academy is a whole different beast. We usually use our regional academy as Athens. I think they did 3 classes last year. So that's another issue. Now, we did send Logan to Fulton County Academy, and they took great care of us up there, much to my surprise. They did. They were really nice up there, and they do a couple more academies a year, so it's not a guarantee that you're going to get in the class.
And Jay, anything else?
No, I just, again, to what you said, Mayor, I think it ultimately, we have to take a leap of faith, and the leadership, Assistant Chief Warnack, Assistant Chief Lowry, there's not two better men that I know. I think you just got to put it in their hands if this passes. That's all I have for you. I'd like to just put it on the agenda to vote Thursday.
Okay, any other questions from any other council members? Anybody? Okay.
No, we got to vote. I don't want to do, right? No. No. We're not doing this consent though, right? No. Yeah, put it to vote.
Yeah.
And just to let y'all know, the chief will be back Thursday. He had a prior engagement to go to tonight, so if I didn't answer something right, y'all can just yell at him
You did a great
Thursday
job,
night.
Greg.
You did a good job.
You did a great job.
Very
Mayor,
good.
that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank
We'll move on to Public Utilities, Transportation Committee, Bill Duvall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Bill. We'll move on to Public Works Facilities Committee, Manila Long.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to Economic Development Committee, Brandon Whitfield.
I do have a report for what's upcoming in the city. Chrissy will be here Thursday, so she'll do a lot better job of this, but I want to go ahead and let it be seen by people on YouTube and Miss Alma, obviously, that we are doing the Grooving on the Green, June 17th with Liquid Pleasure, and the Independence Day celebration at West Walton Park at 6 p.m. And they're going to be having the band Skin Folks there, the Leonard Skinner cover band. And I also wanted to ask Danny about the position for economic development, about the how many applicants that we've had, 'cause I've had that question a lot recently. How many applications we have, how are we going in the process of that?
Christie, we've, 7? We have 7, and half of those have experience, other half no experience. So Christie started today putting experience, no experience, and then you will probably call them, set up a phone interview, go through that, and then from there we'll probably have maybe an in-person interview. So that's where we stand.
Awesome,
on
thank
that.
you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Brandon, would you go back and please share with all my guests and Sharon the day of the 4th of July celebration? We didn't.
Yes, it actually is going to be on the 25th of June. We do it on that date for multiple reasons. One of them is because that's when we can get the stage. 2 is because the fireworks are a little cheaper if we do it that day. And we can also, our employees for the city can actually get off the weekend of Independence Day so they can spend it with their families. And we also get more people to come that day because we're not competing with other cities that all do it on the day of Independence Day.
Let me jump in real quick. The concert, the A1A band was fantastic. I got to give Danny Roberts an attaboy. He bought a T-shirt gun, and first of all, Melanie Long, Councilwoman Long, should never be allowed to shoot that thing. But she took that thing over like she owned it. We have never had so much fun in an intermission than with that T-shirt gun. So attaboy Danny Roberts. And Skip, thank you for letting me do the MC that night.
More than
I was
welcome.
nervous until I looked up and saw 1,000 people standing in the back, and I was really nervous, but I got through it.
It's all about us,
Thank
not
you.
me.
I appreciate it.
You did a really good job.
Thank you.
However, Robbie, we're almost out of shirts now, aren't we? Thought I'd throw that in just for fun.
There is a T-shirt shortage that I've been hearing about, along with everything else.
Yeah, because my
Yeah.
wife and Melanie got a hold of that T-shirt and the T-shirt gun, and it was on.
We also had the Masters Car Show last month, the 21st, that I went to, and it was really fun as well. We had a really good time. We actually parked the cars down Main Street this year instead of back behind, and it was really good being able to see, especially with all the new murals and all the new buildings that have been, or not new buildings, but they've been painted and look good. So it was good to kind of showcase our downtown with all the pictures that were taken that day with all the cars. So,
And also, I have a shout out because Brandon's grandfather's car won the People's Choice Award, which I thought was really cool. Made his granddaddy proud.
thank you. Yeah, it was the Cadillac one. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Brandon. We'll move to the city manager's report. Danny Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one item, and a few updates I'll tell y'all about. Letter of support for the Corps of Engineers. This is for the Rivian project. Walton County Economic has asked all the cities to give a letter of support for that project. It's in your packet to review. I would make a motion that we put that on consent and give the mayor authority to sign that project that's already been approved. It's just a formality that they are asking for us to do. Any questions?
Is
Okay.
everybody okay putting it on consent? Everybody okay? Okay.
And then a few things from last meeting. You recall I told you about the restrooms that we were going to try to rent. They did not show up. We got the quote back the next day, and it was double than what I was told over the phone. And it was only for one 2-stall bathroom for $1,000, which we need 4 of them. So I wasn't going to spend $4,000 for a concert. Called 2 other companies. One got back with me, and their quote for 8 unit was $2,500 a concert. You can buy these for about $60,000, or we can rent them for 10 concerts. It was a little over like $25,000. That's what it would cost for us to rent them for every event we have. So I think we need to push pause on that, maybe using porta-johns. That's a lot of money for renting restrooms. I'm still waiting to hear from one company, but I don't think it's gonna come back any cheaper, because it ranged from $4,000 for one restroom to $1,100 for just a 2-unit, which would only do about 100 people.
But we had to do something because the ladies really get the short end of the stick.
Yep, so
during
what we
Town Green.
decided last concert
saying
is
I'm not saying that.
we turned the health department to women's only, for both men and women's, into women only, and the men had to use the porta-johns.
Yeah.
So I believe we did that last
No, I know,
concert,
the-
Robbie,
the
or we're gonna start.
It's really bad.
We're gonna start at this next concert. But we really probably need to get one for the 4th of July, so I more than likely will rent that $2,500 for the 4th of July, because the sewer system at the police, every time we go over there, wonderful Joe back here has to go out and pump at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And if you've never seen how that works, come and watch. Where are you highwayers, though? So I think I'm just going to order it for the big events, the parade, the Autumn Fest, and the concert. And then let the concerts use the porta-johns and the health department. Are y'all okay with that?
How much do we pay to rent a porta-john?
Those are ours.
We got 4, right? We ever go more than 4?
No.
We should put some signs out that lead up to the health department that just says women only.
I believe that's being done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the women were using the men anyways, so
Yeah.
at the last concert.
But hats off to Robbie and Christy. They just keep banging out these awesome concerts, huge crowds. Eventually, we're gonna need Newtown Green. I won't start that tonight, though.
I guess we'll get the trees over at the health department watered.
Yep. So,
You know,
the other
we'll-
thing that Councilwoman Ann talked about was, when y'all approve the budget for Thursday night, I will immediately ask for you to add this to the agenda to approve a new number for the new budget, and that is for the utility relocation, or it's gonna be about 200,000 we're gonna put in the budget. We could not add it tonight because we'd already advertised in the paper the appropriation ordinance, but after meeting with our engineers about the Highway 20 project, they strongly recommended that we put some money for relocations. The state of Georgia likes to see that when approving grants, because we're going to ask for grants for relocating utilities on Georgia 20, which we're required to do, which is going to be extremely expensive when I tell you all that, to remove the water and the sewer out of the right of way. We're talking millions of dollars. Hopefully we can get a grant. That was not a pleasant conversation we had with engineers, so I asked for that Thursday night, so when I ask you to vote to this end, there'll be an amendment to the agenda. Anybody got questions on that? Okay, and then a reminder, 6 PM next Thursday night for the second part of the wonderful presentation of the budget.
Okay, thank you, Danny. We move to our city attorney, who's been on vacation for the last month or two. Anything you have tonight, Robin?
Well, I had a very nice vacation. No,
Very good.
teasing. The only thing on the agenda that I have to speak with you about is the Gwinnett County Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. It's easier to say SPLOST. Gwinnett County has not voted on this yet. It is anticipated that the Board of Commissioners will pass a resolution authorizing a referendum on November 8th of this year. That referendum will ask the voters to approve SPLOST. That SPLOST will begin on April 1st, 2023, and continue through March 31st of 2029. I believe you all have seen the proposed IGA regarding the SPLOST. It's in your packet. What we are asking is for authority for the mayor to sign that IGA once I finish negotiating it.
They had one tier one item, did they not?
I'm sorry.
They had one tier one item for about 12.5 million for the courthouse.
Mm-hmm. 12. Yes.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's all I have.
So a tier one project for the audience is the county, this is a county tax, so if they declare a tier one project, they as the county receive that money before any other jurisdiction receives any portion of the SPLOST. So for $12 million in Gwinnett County, that'll take about 1 month to collect. So they collect a lot of money there. So that's what that is.
And they consider those items basically a benefit to all the citizens in the county, so,
That's correct, courthouse.
yeah.
So is that why they had the percentages broken out before tier one and after tier one? So once the tier one, the 12 million is paid for, it just goes to that second percentage?
That's correct.
So
And
you
then-
will get, you can't get money starting off, once it starts, it's just at a smaller rate.
Yes, and then that, they also have, if you collect more than what's projected, you negotiate the percentage of that, which is typically the same as the current.
Is that it?
That is it.
Very good.
So again, we're just asking for authority for the mayor to sign once it's negotiated.
Is that consent?
That's up to y'all. It can be, for sure.
What's your
Fine with
pleasure?
consent.
Consent or a vote on it?
Yeah, consent's fine.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, Robin. And welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, with
And-
that said,
Mayor,
That-
can I say one more thing?
Shirley,
I'll ask Christie to discuss this briefly about the new layout. It's on our website. And Christie, if you just briefly talk about why there's no names here so they all know. So if you'll talk about that.
So the way this works is it helps us to build the agenda, and they have hard-coded, or I guess you could say, there's a layout, and basically as we add items to the agenda, it flows it into the format. So this is how we've got it laid out, as close to the previous layout as we had before. It has also actually allowed us to do a few things we didn't do before. Like you'll see, I put down here number 9, items for Thursday night. They were just kind of assumed before, but now I can put them under there. The link will take you directly to any attachment that's there. So we're still working with it. We're really excited about it. If you, once it's set up and completely going, it will have the ability to email y'all and let y'all know, hey, a new agenda has been posted. Hey, a new packet has been posted. Hey, a new minutes have been updated. It also will be on our website for anybody in the public to be able to see it as well. And they can subscribe to it. They'll be able to get notifications when we have a meeting scheduled, or if our agenda has been posted, or any of those kind of things. So that is kind of where we're at. We've been working on it for about 2.5, almost 3 weeks now. And so we're I think as we get into it, everybody's really, really going to enjoy it. Kyle got the link up on or the portal up to our website, and this is what it looks like if you look at your screen. And it will lay out, it will keep the historical information. That way, any day and time, someone can go back and look at what happened at a council meeting or a committee meeting or anything of that nature. You can see that there's a PDF version plus an HTML version. So if you're on a computer, the HTML version, if you click on it, it pulls it up. It doesn't download it to your computer. The PDF does. So you can scroll through it on the HTML version. And the links are obviously in blue, and it will take you directly to whatever link that you want to go look at. So a lot of other agencies use this. We've just finally got to the point where we've gotten here, so.
So it's a better way.
Can I go back to the Rivian letter for just a second?
Sure.
Do we have to sign it as is?
That was a sample draft that they did us a courtesy to provide that much, but sure, Danny, can we modify? I'm sure we can. They said we could.
I would feel comfortable striking the last 2 or 3 paragraphs. It says the streams and wetlands on the property are of low quality, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that. The city doesn't know that. And I know there's been a big brouhaha about the wetlands and the water, and I don't personally want to get us or the city involved in prior knowledge of knowing about wetlands. So this paragraph that starts the streams and wetlands and finally Rivian will adhere to all local, state, and federal regs, that's not really something I can vouch for either. So can we strike those 2 paragraphs? Would anybody object to that extra pickiness on my part?
Well, what if we do it this way? Shane Short did that for us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the Corps of Engineers is going to require that or not. I think the state's taking the project over, and they're saying that's the way it's going to be. But if we can take them out, why not? And if we can't, we'll tell you Thursday night. I don't know the answer.
Well, go ahead.
Are you talking about whether or not you can take those paragraphs out?
Yes.
You can definitely take them out.
Yeah, he just may not use it, but it's your letter. You're the one writing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So,
I mean,
yes, if that's the wish of the council, we'll take it out. Now, if they use it, that's on them. This is, if you want our letter, this is what our letter's gonna say.
Okay.
Well,
Take it out.
actually, I'm probably one of 6 up here. I do not support the Rivian project at all, but. No, me neither. I'm with you. Okay. So they wanted to put that letter on consent. Do you want to go to a
It's
vote,
not
or
on-
you want to put the letter on consent?
Yeah.
Well, let's move it back and vote on it. It's no big deal.
Might have to strike 2-0 then.
I mean, I would support the letter. I just want those 2 paragraphs stricken because it's knowledge we don't have.
Well, once y'all vote Thursday, we'll know what to do.
Thanks. Sorry for going backwards.
Oh, congratulations to the Loganville baseball team who won yet another state championship. And Ann Hunsinger was made the Walton Tribune for her honey.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she good thing she don't share any of it though. Oh, sorry.
Okay, with that said, we're going to adjourn this work session. See everybody back on Thursday, huh, Alma?